Right now at 5, Kansas governor attends an event in Pittsburgh as part of the Healthy Workers, Healthy Economy Tour.
We still got a couple of scattered thunderstorms out there this morning, even a strong thunderstorm in Neosho County. We'll take a look at that and the forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, K-State makes a pit stop in Allen County yesterday on a tour of the Sunflower State.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we had some thunderstorms yesterday morning, putting out some fairly good amount of lightning.
Yeah.
This morning, we don't have nearly as many storms, but we do have some thunderstorms out there, but this is the last of it. However, we do have a strong thunderstorm. We're going to take a look at that in just 1 second here. First, a live look at the MoDOT camera at 32nd and Range Line in Joplin. We have had some patchy fog into parts of Jasper County and into eastern Cherokee County, so do watch out for that this morning. And here's that storm that we're talking about in eastern Neosho County, starting to enter western Crawford County. So right now there is what they call a significant weather advisory for this. So that just means it's a strong thunderstorm and that it's below severe limits, but it is producing some pea-sized hail and some slightly gusty winds. The winds aren't a big issue, but it is producing some pea-sized hail, so we'll keep an eye on that just in case it decides to intensify. Now, outside of that particular storm, take a look up by Nevada, you look down by Columbus, but stretching back to the south and west, we have a little broken line of showers and storms, but this one is starting to become the dominant one. However, it is also triggering some development out ahead of it, so we'll keep an eye on these as they roll through this morning. Quick look outside, again, foggy in Joplin by a little bit. Visibility is down to 7 miles, 66. Not looking at that much fog on the Pittsburgh side at 65. Kids getting on the bus this morning. A few of us will see some of those isolated scattered thunderstorms out there. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies, low 60s, calm breeze outside of the storms, of course. And then as that bus brings them home, once these storms clear out by late morning, we have got an absolutely gorgeous, almost textbook fall-like day across the area as we go into the mid to upper 70s with those sunny skies. North breeze at about 5 to 15 because a cold front is going to pass through. One of 2 cold fronts. The second one's going to be the one that changes our temperatures. So some isolated thunderstorms, a few showers through the mid-morning hours that we start to clear out. We're going to go right around 70 by 11 a.m. And then we're going to get downright chilly over the next couple of days. We'll take a look at that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly yesterday stopped by Pittsburgh as part of her Health Workers, Healthy Economy Tour. The governor is using the tour to push for support of a Medicaid expansion, so she visited a session via Christie Hospital. Polls show a majority of Kansas support a Medicaid expansion, and Governor Kelly says that support will be crucial at the negotiating table.
Incorporating the things that we know need to be there, and then we will, like we always have done, we will sit down with folks from the Senate and the House. And if there are areas to negotiate to get to consensus and get a bill passed, we will do that.
Census data shows nearly 140,000 Kansas work but don't have health insurance. They would be covered under a Medicaid expansion. And the Missouri Attorney General is using Tyson Foods and is urging them to sell rather than close the Tyson plant in Knoll. Ag Andrew Bailey makes the request in a letter to Tyson CEO Donnie G. Bailey says both federal and state law require Tyson to make every effort to sell. Bailey points out that the Knoll Tyson plant employs 1,500 workers and its closure would have a devastating impact on the community's economy. The plant is scheduled to close on or around November 2nd. Much of northeast Oklahoma has battled contamination from old mining waste known as chat for decades. Yesterday, the Quapaw Nation marks 10 years of a project intended to pressure historic structures, artifacts, and landscape features while the chat was removed. A commemoration event yesterday celebrates success of that project. It began in 2013 when an agreement allowed the Quapaw Nation to work with the EPA during the chat cleanup in the Tar Creek Superfund site.
Since healing their land and they're healing their home, that vested interest they have, this is their land forever. They were given this, it was set aside for them, and it's going to be theirs forever. So we're the ones at stake in partnership with the EPA and the state to do this until it's done.
This was the first tribally managed Superfund site cleanup in the United States. That cleanup project is expected to continue for decades. And the Baxter Springs, Kansas School District is adjusting to a 4-day school week, Tuesday through Friday. Last year, the community voted in favor of the 4-day school week to be implemented for this school year. The transition is part of the recruitment and retention plan for staff. The district superintendent says that the new schedule now gives staff a choice to make up hours or rest. And it's not just the staff that's adjusting to the new schedule.
I think that it's taken a little bit of pressure off of her also to have that extra day off. She can use it to catch up on homework, she can use it for sports, she can just hang out with mom.
By the time that they get out from the extended day that they're currently having, it's about 7 o'clock before they get out of their sports programs for the day.
School officials say they'll know more in depth about how students are adjusting when benchmark scores come in. Faculty and students from K-State visited residents in Allen County yesterday afternoon. KOAM's Anthony Saviello gives us a look.
Though Kansas State University may be over 150 miles away, its outreach stretches all the way across the state.
This is an effort by President Linton to get to all 105 counties, and what we're trying to do is lift up the good work that's happening in these counties and ways that K-State could partner with that work moving forward.
Residents and alumni of K-State in Allen County were invited to listen and give input about K-State.
And if we can lift the profile of higher education throughout the state, that's a winning strategy in terms of access for all kinds of learners, whether that's traditional students all the way to people who might be reskilling or retooling for a job.
The outreach also brings students who are part of the Connected Cats program to share their college experience.
Well, family is a big thing at K-State, and so getting just students from all different walks of life to come together.
Brody Nemechek is a senior at K-State and an Iola, Kansas native. The animal science major has a lot of pride for his school and what he's been able to accomplish.
That kind of community of bringing two teams from different backgrounds together and then to win a national championship, something that everybody dreams of.
He was joined with Allison Heim, another senior and Southeast Kansan, who shared her enthusiasm about being back home.
It's really fun to be back in the area. We were talking on the drive down, kind of reminiscing of what's changed since we were in school and just how things have been developing.
For these students, this outreach is important to share with those who have molded them. And through their efforts, they may even make a few more Wildcats. Reporting in Humboldt, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The outreach will continue in Allen County later today. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Fairland High School softball is headed to state for the second time in 3 years. We'll have the details. Plus, a Texas pastor is showing what it truly means to love thy neighbor. And cooler temperatures return. We'll have what to expect from today with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Well, Fairland High School softball is headed to state for the second time in 3 years. Lady Owls got here winning 15 of their final 17 games of the season, including a 15-5 victory in the regional final against Howe. Yesterday afternoon, the Fairland softball team received a police escort out of town on their way to the Class II state tournament. Big parade for all their fellow Owls cheering them on. And for a team without any seniors on its roster that's been proving naysayers wrong, there have been a lot of high points in getting to this spot.
Overall, nobody expected us to come as far as we have, so it's really exciting that we proved them wrong.
Lots of teamwork for sure.
Yes.
We're just working hard together.
Beating Wyandotte. Lucky 7.
Yeah.
Beating Wyandotte in the Lucky 7 tournament.
Coming back and beating Wyandotte.
Yeah. Just playing as a team, we're, like I said, really cohesive, and we work really well together. Play defense, we hit, we pitch well, so really proud of that.
Meanwhile, Wyandotte softball is headed to the Class 2A state tournament as well. The Bears receiving all sorts of support from Wyandotte elementary, middle school, and high schoolers. They boast a 28-8 record and took care of Stroud easily in their regional final, winning the title game 17-2. So here's a look at the tournament bracket for both the Lady Owls and Lady Bears. It's single elimination, win or go home. Wyandotte plays the first game of the tournament against Dale, who enters with a 36-3 record. First meeting between the two all year at 11 a.m. today. Fairland starts the tournament playing Oaktaha, and they played each other once in the regular season. The Owls won that game 7-4. Meanwhile, in Missouri, Nevada hosting Carl Junction and winning by run rule 15-0. This one goes final after just 4 innings. Nevada jumped out to the lead early, blasting 2 home runs in the first inning. Carl Junction not done yet in the regular season. Faces Branson and Glendale to round out the year. The Minnesota Twins looking to advance to the Alks with a win over, or the ALCS rather, with a win over the Blue Jays. 4th inning, no score, bases loaded for Carlos Correa. Singles up the middle. Royce Lewis scores. Twins up 1-0. 5th inning, Twins up 2-0. Sonny Gray on the hill. Fires to second and picks off Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to get out of the jam. Correa able to get the tag on Guerrero Jr. before he gets his hand back to the base. Twins out of the jam, up 2-0. 6th inning. Same score, Blue Jays with the bases loaded. Caleb Thielbar gets Matt Chapman to ground into the inning, ending 6-4-3 double play. Twins out of another jam. They lead 2-0. 8th inning, same score. Gavin Biggio hits the slow roller down the line. Griffin Jacks tries to tag him out and gets run over as Biggio is ruled out. 9th inning, Johan Duran had to tend to his pitching hand before closing the game. Gets Alejandro Kirk with the breaking ball. 2 batters later, Chapman goes down swinging. Next batter, Duran blows one by Dalton Varsho to end it. Twins win 2-0. Their first playoff series win since the 2002 ALDS. They advance to play the Houston Astros in the ALDS. Still to come, Moderna's new flu COVID combination vaccine is making progress. We'll tell you what you need to know. Plus, we got those morning storms now. Well, what happens when they're gone? We'll have the answer in your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News 517 now on this Thursday morning. We still have this thunderstorm. This is the biggest one we've got right over Crawford County with the little legs stretching down into northwestern Cherokee County. We've had some additional development along this line. But as you can see, the most dominant cell is this one that's now just to the west of Pittsburgh, right on the south side of Girard, just moving out of Neosho County. Now earlier, it had some pea-sized hail with it as it was moving through Neosho County, but as of right now, no special advisories or anything with that particular storm. And again, it's really the main storm. As you can see, it tried to set off some additional development ahead of it, and then it just all kind of merged together along this broken line. This is cold front number 1 that's going to be rolling through. This doesn't do a lot for our temperatures, just brings us our last round of rain. Cold front number 2 later today into the evening, that's going to change our temperatures. MoDOT camera, 30-second in range line, Joplin looking to north. See, we've still got that patchy fog out there. It's mainly in Jasper County, but there's some of it into eastern Cherokee, so do be aware of that out there. No fog advisories or anything. MoDOT camera, US 60, Missouri 59. You can see a little fog in Neosho, but then we head to Pittsburgh. Not looking very foggy at all from the KDOT camera at US 69 and East 520th. In fact, from our camera at 7th and range line, you can see the low clouds, but you're not seeing much in the way of fog. Airport reporting 7 miles of visibility, so again, that's why it's patchy out there. 66 is where we sit right now, west-southwest breeze at about 3. Temperatures around the region, so here you can see the wind arrow shift. This is cold front number 1. Cold front number 2 still off that direction. We got 66 in Pittsburgh, Lamar, and Carthage. 63 Monette, Neosho. 70 in Miami. 62 in Chanute. Take a look at Yates Center at 60 degrees this morning. All right, so for some of us, isolated storm showers through about 9 a.m. Those will start to clear out. We're partly cloudy and right around 70 by late morning, heading into the afternoon. We are warm again today, but not too far off of where we're supposed to be. We go mid-upper 70s. We're looking at mostly clear skies, maybe a cloud here or there, and we're looking at mostly clear skies tonight. And once cold front number 2 swings through the area, we're going to notice a sudden change in our temperatures overnight if you're awake all night. Now, if you're sleeping through the night, you won't notice till you wake up Friday morning. But we're looking at lows back into the low 50s, maybe even some upper 40s out there. We are considerably cooler tomorrow. In fact, we're below average for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday out there. So we go back into the upper 60s tomorrow, low 60s on Saturday, overnight lows back into the low 40s, maybe even some upper 30s. So do be aware of that if you got some outdoor vegetation Friday and Saturday night. Not bad Sunday, Monday. Then we start to warm up heading into next week. We see increasing shower and thunderstorm chances as we get back in the low 80s. And then the next system, look at what it does. Kicks our temperatures right back down into the low 60s by the end of next week. That's a quick check of your forecast. We're going to be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a Texas pastor is showing what it truly means to love thy neighbor. When Shane Webb heard a young lady was suffering from kidney failure, he stepped up to help, offering him one of hers. Nicole Nielsen picks up the details.
For Pastor Shane Webb, it was a journey that started 6 years ago. He was working at a church in Mount Pleasant, Texas, when a deep desire arose from within.
And I heard a presentation about the need for kidney donation, and it really set off something in my heart.
He said that feeling never went away, even after moving here to Irving. In fact, it nagged at him.
Didn't think I could take off that much time, and I didn't have anyone that I knew that needed one.
Until he found someone right in front of him, literally while in line at a church function.
And she is a member of my congregation and told me this story about her granddaughter that really needed this transplant, and I said, well, she can have one of mine.
Easier said than done. According to UC Davis Health, the odds of a total stranger being a perfect match with a specific kidney patient are about 1 in 100,000. And you wouldn't believe.
You're a match with a complete stranger. You know, what's the likelihood of that?
It's insane.
Claudia Hagman has had kidney problems for over a decade and went on dialysis in 2021 at just 25 years old. Not only did the pair have to match, but Shane had to be healthy enough to donate. And of course, he was. In May of this year, a life forever changed.
I have been able to go on hikes and do things and go see my friends at spur of the moment and not be afraid of my own body.
And though rare, Shane says in some ways, their story doesn't feel random at all.
Incredible, because for me, that was kind of the answer, like, hey, this is the right time, this is the right person. You know, Jesus says, if you have 2 coats, you know, give one to the person that needs one. And I thought that, you know, applied to my organs too.
Have you tried to go meatless and failed? Well, it might be in your DNA. Scientists have identified 4 genes associated with how well someone can adhere to a vegetarian lifestyle. That might explain why some people can stick with it and others go back to eating meat. It's not known exactly why this happens. Researchers believe it may have to do with how different people process fats. Links between genetics and these processes may help experts make personalized dietary recommendations for people in the future. The study was published in the Public Library of Science journal, PLOS One. And Moderna's new flu-COVID combination vaccine is making progress. The company is now testing the vaccine designed to protect people from both COVID-19 and seasonal flu with a single shot. Wednesday, Moderna said that the vaccine appeared to elect strong immune responses for both conditions. The company says it will now expand testing into the next phase. That'll involve giving a shot to a number of adults 50 years and older later this year. Moderna says it is hoping to get regulatory approval of the combination vaccine by 2025. And right now, a historic strike is underway. Tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente healthcare workers have walked off the job in several states. Mike Valerio has the latest.
What do we want? Save staffing! When do we want it? Now!
The largest healthcare workers strike in United States history kicking off Wednesday morning, with more than 75,000 unionized Kaiser Permanente workers walking off the job and walking onto the picket lines.
We have a crisis inside, a staffing crisis that affects us and subsequently affects our patients.
I've seen patients die because of the short staffing, and they wanted us to be quiet about it, and I'm not being quiet anymore.
Respect! More money in our check!
The coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions calling for better pay and better staffing, saying in their notification statement to the company that if a deal isn't made by the end of the strike on Saturday, quote, we are prepared to engage in another longer, stronger strike in November.
We have made many proposals to try to solve the Kaiser short staffing, and right now the Kaiser executives are much more interested in their bottom line than providing high quality patient care.
With about 40% of its staff on strike, Kaiser Permanente says it has contingency plans in place so it can continue to provide safe, high-quality care for its 12.7 million members and patients. A spokesperson for the company saying, quote, we have detailed continuity plans in place in all of these markets that include the use of non-represented and management staff along with contingency workers. In addition, all of our physicians will be available. In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching a few scattered storms out there still this morning. This is our last round of storms, and then we're going to have a pretty decent Thursday ahead of some big changes heading into Friday. We'll have another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, a Joplin-based band is overseas to take part in a European tour.
Some scattered storms, a little bit of patchy fog, and then a pretty decent Thursday. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a Souls Harbor in Joplin celebrates a brand new area for the kids.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:31 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got some scattered storms out there. Did have a little bit of a stronger storm in Neosho County earlier this morning. It has weakened a bit, had some pea-sized hail, but that storm's still out there, and it's really the most dominant storm. We've also been dealing with some patchy fog, mainly in western Jasper County and into parts of eastern Cherokee County. You can see MoDOT camera 30-second range line showing some of that fog, but it is looking a little clearer than it did this morning. And here's a look at that one big thunderstorm that we've got. It's not strong at this point. It's also not severe, but you can see it's stretching from Crawford County back down into central Cherokee County. And we've got some additional activity stretching back into Labette County and some additional development back across parts of north central Oklahoma. All of this along a line. That's a cold front, but this isn't the cold front that's going to drop our temperature. So let's take a closer look at this guy. Looks like just a big giant T, or I don't know, maybe a push pin or something, as it pushes into Girard, still just to the immediate west of Pittsburgh. So expect some heavy rainfall out of this thing, and watch out for that lightning out there. As you can see, quite a few lightning strikes just for this one particular little storm. We'll have this line with this front push on through, and then later we're going to get another front that's actually going to make our temperatures come back down a little bit and be more seasonal. In fact, they'll be below average. All right, Joplin, a little bit of fog, 66. Pittsburgh, still waiting on those showers and storms. Otherwise, not bad, and 66. Kids getting on the bus, a few of them. Again, some scattered storms. Otherwise, mostly cloudy to start, calm winds and low 60s. Then by this afternoon, the sun shines, north breeze 5 to 15, mid 70s out there. And as we get our morning started, again, a few of these isolated shower storms continuing through about 9 o'clock, should be gone by about 10. We're partly cloudy and right around 70 by 11. We'll have another complete look at your forecast and tell you how much below average things are going to get here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Joplin-based band Fox Royale is going on tour with Young the Giant in Europe. Brothers Nathan and Caleb Hurley are the founding members of the alternative band, which launched into the music industry in 2020. Since then, they've played as many shows as they could secure, whether local or otherwise. Getting a call from Young the Giant was not something the band saw coming.
We'd never opened for a band on tour before. So we've pitched for tons of bands, and we've gotten a no, really often, because we're not big enough. So to get our first support slot, be Young the Giant in other countries, was kind of mind-blowing.
According to band members, this opportunity is already opening doors for their music careers. In Southwest Missouri, Bank joined Souls Harbor in celebrating a new play area for the shelter yesterday. The shelter serves men, women, and homeless families in Joplin, and the addition of the play area will make stays there easier for the youngest residents. For the shelter, the play area has only upsides.
It's going to be a lot bigger, and they also have a cement pad that they can use to set the picnic tables on and such. So then they'll have a much better place to sit, less lawn care, and then the kids will have a play area that's well cushioned, and they can, if they have any accidents, then they don't have any problems with that.
Souls Harbor is located at 817 South Main in Joplin. Special Olympics Kansas rolls out a regional unified bocce competition yesterday. The competition consisted of 66 teams, and hundreds of people turned out to cheer them on. 2 athletes paired with 2 partners and teams played 2 games. For the athletes, the event was more than just about competition, as they made new friendships and social connections.
The biggest thing I hope that they gain is those relationships, working on communicating, working on independence, working on, having those people within the community that they can go up and talk to and be friends with and have those lifelong friendships made.
The competition featured youth level all the way up to adult. The McDonald County School District yesterday showed off its Mustang Pride. It's homecoming week, so the district held a parade. There was also food trucks so people could eat before the floats went through the streets of Anderson. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. The race for U.S. House Speaker is threatening to derail the questioning of the aid to Ukraine. And 2023 is on track to be the hottest year in history. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Cherryvale, Kansas at Pryor Creek Farms. Topping Health Watch, the race for U.S. House Speaker is threatening to derail the question of aid to Ukraine. It could be a week or more before a new speaker is elected. Until then, the House is in limbo, and so are budget talks. Several Republicans have expressed interest in taking up the speaker's gavel. One of them, Jim Jordan of Ohio, said that he's opposed to giving more money to Kyiv. For Ukrainian troops, it has been already difficult on the ground, and more delays in arms deliveries would make it worse to keep up with the counteroffensive. Fred Plechin followed some troops on the battlefield and spoke to some soldiers about this.
The artillery troops need to move fast. Russian drones might be in the air. Line up, calibrate, fire. 3 rockets, that's it, even though this Grad launcher would be more effective firing large salvos. It's not very precise, the soldier named Alex says. It also depends on the weather and the range. It would be good to have more precise rockets or guided ones. But the Ukrainians are running short on even these unguided Soviet-era rockets, and ammo shortages are a problem across the battlefield here in eastern Ukraine. Soldiers from the 80th Airborne Assault Brigade have a quick snack, then get ready to fire their Western-donated howitzer. The American 105mm shells, a valuable but increasingly scarce commodity. The Ukrainians call this the sniper rifle of their artillery because it's so accurate, but it also illustrates one of the big problems they have. They have plenty of barrels to fire from, but not enough ammunition to fire. Battery Commander Miron telling me the lack of shells means his forces are badly outgunned here. It's hard to give precise numbers, he says, but I think they fire 10 times for every round we fire. Sometimes it's 1 to 100. The Russians are constantly taking aim at this area, though the Ukrainians say they're making gains, pushing Vladimir Putin's army back, even using combat helicopters close to the front line. Kiev says it needs more ammo to sustain its offensives both here in the east and in the south. The U.S. budget impasse could mean further delays. On top of that, NATO is warning its members are running dangerously low themselves.
We started to give away from half full or lower warehouses in Europe, and therefore the bottom of the barrel is now visible.
For the Ukrainian artillery troops, that means rationing will probably continue, all while trying to support their advancing soldiers on the ground.
The City of Light is getting a new kind of visitor. Paris, France is reporting a vicious bedbug problem. For weeks, the parasitic insects have been intensifying parts of the city. Pest control specialists have been hard at work in a bid to eradicate the infestation. One government official blaming global warming for the outbreak. The problem comes just months before the city's set to host the Olympic Games. And 2023 is on track to be the hottest year in history. That's according to new data from the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. Last month was the hottest September following 4 months of record-breaking heat. The September beat the previous monthly record set in 2020 by nearly 33 degrees, and ocean temperatures were also breaking records for September, hitting the second highest on record for any month. Pope Francis is warning followers around the world about climate change. Wednesday, the Pope issued an official declaration saying that the effects of climate change are, quote, already irreversible and devastating to humanity. The Pope put the blame on big industries as well as world leaders. The pontiff also called out climate change deniers, saying, quote, despite all attempts to deny, conceal, gloss over, or relativize the issue, the signs of climate change are here and increasingly evident. The Pope added, quote, the world in which we live is collapsing. It may be nearing the breaking point, end quote. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is visiting Mexico, where he says he'll discuss border security with Mexican officials. Just prior to the trip, he stopped by Austin, Texas, to defend the White House in handling the issue. Michael Atkinson reports.
Hook 'em horns. Stopping in Austin on Wednesday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke about his trip this afternoon to Mexico, where he would address the ever-looming issue of border security.
Mexico, of course, has to be and is our closest partner in this for obvious reasons.
Those remarks amid a surge in migrants coming across the U.S. border with Mexico, prompting widespread calls for action from the federal government and large condemnation from the Republican Party toward the Biden administration.
Last year, there were more than 2.3 million people apprehended coming across the border illegally. Key word, apprehended. Point being is that for everyone apprehended, there's others who are not apprehended.
Secretary Blinken on Wednesday looking at the flip side of that equation, highlighting aid offered in other Central American countries.
We have gotten about $4.5 billion in new investment in those countries for enterprises that are going to create jobs and give people an opportunity to stay home. Like most things, the opportunities that we've actually been able to create, those numbers don't show up at our border, but of course we don't know that. You only see the people who do.
Here in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has hinted that he will include at least some sort of border security topic in his latest special session call slated to begin next week. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have urged him to do so, including the Democratic representative of Eagle Pass, a hotbed for migrant crossings, and the spot Governor Abbott put the floating barrier of buoys in place. Secretary Blinken didn't address the buoys, but his federal counterparts in the Department of Justice are suing the state of Texas over them. Not to mention, Mexican officials have also criticized the barrier, which could be a talking point in Blinken's visit.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:46 on this Thursday morning. Take a look, Skywatch Storm Tracker. You can see cold front number 1 stretching all the way back across the area into Oklahoma. This isn't really going to have much of an impact on our temperatures. It's going to have a slight impact through the morning, then we'll warm back up. It is giving us these scattered storms. We've got this nice looking guy that initially was a little bit on the strong side with some pea-sized hail through Neosho County, and then it kind of merged with other activity that was developing ahead of it. So now it's very slowly pushing off to the east. We've been watching it creep up on the west side of Pittsburgh for the past about 30 minutes or so, stretching all the way back down now just east of Columbus, just west of the station here. So imagine if I went outside and looked, I'd probably be able to see it. But of course, lightning, dangerous, and there's a fair amount of it with this little storm. So you can watch as it kind of formed here, and then additional development took place right ahead of it, and then it all just kind of merged together, and it's moving east-southeast. So parts of Joplin, Carl Junction, Webb City probably going to get in on this activity as well. And then we've got these guys back off to the south and west into parts of Washington County and northeastern Oklahoma. and a few little cells right across Vernon County near El Dorado Springs, just to the east of Nevada. Here at 32nd Range Line in Joplin, you can see, if you look close enough, the green light's kind of bright, but still some fog in the Joplin area. And we've been seeing some light fog in Jasper, parts of Newton County, and over into eastern Cherokee County. And you can see that as well from the MoDOT camera at US 60 and Missouri 59 Neosho. It's just a bit on the foggy side. It's not super dense, but you do want to slow down. Just watch out in case there are some dense spots. But the good news is we're not getting any reports of super dense fog. We don't have any dense fog advisories. A little bit of fog here on the KDOT camera at US 69. There's that lightning. We've been waiting for it. That storm's, again, slowly creeping up on the west side here of Pittsburgh. This is down, of course, this camera on the south side, but that storm is going to encompass this entire side of that camera. Our camera, 7th in range line. Now, because of the low clouds and some of that fog, that lightning would typically be visible off in the horizon, but we have not been able to see it yet. We got 66 in Joplin, cloudy skies, 7-mile visibility reported at the airport. The west-southwest breeze at about 3. And these wind arrows are indicating right where that frontal boundary is. So, again, it is a bit cooler behind it, getting a northerly breeze. And that northerly breeze will be with us through the day, so it'll be nice, cool, dry air out there. But it won't be until tonight that the second cold front comes in. That's the one that kicks our temperatures down. Lots of mid-60s across the region, save Yates Center sitting at 59. We're going to go about 70 by late morning. Showers should be out of here by about 9, 10 o'clock. Looking at highs today, mid-upper 70s with mostly clear skies. Clear skies through the evening. Initially not bad, mild in the 60s. Then we go back upper 40s, low 50s for our overnight lows. Below average Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overnight lows could be upper 30s, low 40s Friday and Saturday. Then we'll start to warm up again next week, back into the 80s. Ahead of another system, brings us more storm chances and kicks our temperatures down back below average into the 60s by the end of next week. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more after this. But first, we've got another live look from Cherryvale from the Pryor Creek Farms.
Talk about a fashion statement. A fur ball with legs ran amok on the runway in Paris and stole the show. CNN's Jeannie Moose explains.
It gives a whole new meaning to the term ball gown. A star is born at Fashion Week in Paris, dubbed the fur ball, and underneath the fur ball,
I had a harness and it took about 7 people to help me stand up.
But getting dressed was the easy part at designer Christian Cowan's show. Once out on the runway, the fur ball bumped into singer Sam Smith, who happens to be the designer's boyfriend. Smith had to nudge the fur ball away. She proceeded down the runway, then bumped into front row spectators. The fake fur ball had eye holes, but what could you see?
I could truly only see like shadows of things.
Just before reaching the end of the runway, model Majan fell over and had to be lifted up.
I had lost my balance because I had carried it for so long.
Designer Christian Cowan wrote on Instagram, she came into Paris Fashion Week like a wrecking ball, quoting Miley Cyrus, who the designer has dressed. To those who call the fur ball a stunt, the designer's rep says,
Christian enjoys a sense of chaos
and knows how to create buzz. The design house says the fur ball already has at least one customer wanting to buy it. How big was the cat that coughed that up, joked a commenter. At least this ball gown is one size fits most. Like a Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
Well, I guess that's one way to make a fashion statement, and I think I just found my next Halloween costume. We'll be back with more after this. The Taylor Swift effect is everywhere, with her fans packing not only concerts, but also hotels and football games. Now, they're going to go to movie theaters. The film Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour isn't even out yet, but according to Cinemark, it is already setting domestic pre-sale records. The theater chain says demand is 10 times higher for the film than any other movie the company has released. In an ad for its aired during NBC's Sunday Night Football last weekend, where Swift made an appearance to cheer on her possible boyfriend, Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce. Cinemark isn't the only theater chain to see a spike in sales. AMC previously announced that the Eras Tour concert movie shattered records for single-day advance ticket sales revenue. It made $26 million on the first day of pre-sales, August 31st. And the Taylor Swift The Eras Tour movie opens October 13th and is projected to earn between $100 and $125 million on opening weekend. And you probably had that one teacher who changed your life, or maybe your kids had that teacher now. Whoever they are, take some time to thank them, because today, October 5th, is World Teachers Day. The holiday started in 1994 as a way to commemorate the UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers. The recommendation set benchmarks for standards, rights, and responsibilities of teachers around the world. This year's celebrations aim to advocate for dignified and valued teachers as we face an unprecedented global teacher shortage.
Well, after our morning showers and thunderstorms clear out by about 9-10 o'clock, we are looking at partly cloudy skies through late morning and right around 70. Then we'll go mostly clear with a northerly breeze, temperatures mid-upper 70s across the area. And this is all ahead of a second cold front that's going to actually change our temperatures late tonight. So we got a mild evening initially, say upper 60s out there, clear skies. Then by the time we go overnight, lows upper 50s, low 40s under those clear skies. We will be below average for our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with temperatures in the 60s, low 70s. Overnight lows could be upper 30s, low 40s. We start to warm up again next week back into the 80s. Another system brings us more storms and then another round of cold, cooler weather by the end of next week. That's a quick check of your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, how some Baxter Springs parents feel about the district's 4-day school week.
We've got some scattered thunderstorms out there and even some patchy fog in some locations. We'll take a look at that forecast and get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Quapaw Nation celebrates 10 years of cleanup efforts at the Tar Creek Superfund site.
The 4 States' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 States, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So some scattered storms out there this morning. We had one that had some pea-sized hail earlier, nothing like that right now, but still producing a fair amount of lightning. And we've got some fog out there, at least for some of us, in the parts of southwest Missouri and extreme southeast Kansas. You can see the MoDOT camera 30-second range line. You can kind of see some of that fog out there. Not overly dense, but it is there nonetheless. Then we've got cold front number 1, which you can see stretches along this line right through here with some scattered thunderstorms developing on it. And then we've got this guy now right along Highway 69, stretching from Pittsburgh back down toward Galena, Baxter Springs, and Riverton. And it's even got a little bit of a tail developing now in the Loma Linda area along I-44, slowly but surely pushing off to the east-southeast. Again, no severe weather with this activity. Earlier it was a little bit stronger, but not nearly as strong right now. The other concern is just plentiful lightning out there, so be aware of that. All of this activity will continue to push off to the south and east, and then cold front number 1 will push through. It doesn't do significant damage to our temperatures, but it will switch the wind out of the north, and it'll cool us back a little bit this morning. In Joplin, we got the cloudy skies, some fog, 66. Got the thunderstorm now. Look at that lightning on the KDOT camera there just south of Pittsburgh, sitting at 64. And as we get on the bus, again, obviously some kids, thunderstorms out there, so be aware of that. Make sure they got an umbrella, safe place to be. Low 60s, calm breeze. When the bus brings them home, everybody gets in on the good weather later. We got mostly clear skies, mid 70s, north breeze 5 to 15 miles an hour. So these showers and storms this morning should be out of here by about 9-10 o'clock, leaving us partly cloudy and right around 70 by 11 a.m. Cold front number 2 comes through late tonight and will make some big changes in our temperatures. We'll take a look at that full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly joined healthcare leaders at Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh yesterday for an event to promote Medicaid expansion. The governor's office says House District 3, which includes Pittsburgh, is home to about 2,000 working Kansans without health insurance. Governor Kelly herself says that Medicaid expansion will be a key voting issue in the next election.
Really the issue of convincing the leadership that it is in their best interests to allow their caucuses to debate and vote on Medicaid expansion. Next year is an election year. Every single legislator in the House and in the Senate will be up for election. Medicaid expansion will be a driving issue in the '24 election.
The governor's office cites census data that shows nearly 140,000 Kansas who work don't have health insurance. They could be covered under a Medicaid expansion. And the Missouri Attorney General is urging Tyson Foods to sell rather than close the Tyson plants in Nolan Dexter. AG Andrew Bailey makes a request in a letter to Tyson CEO Donnie King. Bailey says both federal and state law require Tyson to make every effort to sell. Bailey points out that Knoll Tyson plant employs 1,500 workers, and its closure would have a devastating impact on the community's economy. That plant is scheduled to close on or around October 20th. Much of northeast Oklahoma has battled contamination from old mining waste known as chat for decades. Yesterday, the Quapaw Nation marks 10 years of a project intended to preserve historic structures, artifacts, and landscape features while the chat was removed. A commemoration event yesterday celebrated successes of that project. It began in 2013 when an agreement allowed the Quapaw Nation to work with the EPA during the chat cleanup in the Tar Creek Superfund site.
We've taken on so much work in the last 10 years, starting out at the Catholic 40 where we addressed 100,000 tons of material to now we're addressing 100,000 tons of material in one given month. So we've really sort of increased our operational sort of experience.
This was the first tribally managed Superfund site cleanup in the United States. That cleanup project is expected to continue for decades. And the Baxter Springs, Kansas School District is adjusting to a 4-day school week, Tuesday through Friday. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to the superintendent and parents about how the school year is going so far.
School looks a little different this year for students in the USD 508 school district located in Baxter Springs, Kansas. This year is the debut of the 4-day school week schedule.
I think we've came out with a really good plan for our district. I think it's going really well. I hear a lot of positives from it, from our students, from our staff, and from our parents.
The transition to a 4-day school week is a part of the recruitment and retention plan for staff. USD 508 superintendent says the new schedule now gives staff a choice to make up hours or rest.
And some of them, obviously, they want to work as much as they can, and some of them enjoy the day off. And so not all of them wanted to make up those hours, and that's okay. We've got an opportunity for them to spend time with their family if that's what they want.
It's not just the staff that's adjusting to the new schedule.
By the time that they get out from the extended day that they're currently having, it's about 7 o'clock before they get out of their sports programs for the day. They come home, they take a shower, eat dinner, and then they're pretty much right in bed.
I think that it's taken a little bit of pressure off of her, also to have that extra day off. She can use it to catch up on homework, she can use it for sports, she can just hang out with mom.
High school student athletes specifically might have a harder time adjusting their work ethic to stay on top of the homework.
The roughest thing so far for the children is that they're just really cramped on Tuesday through Thursday. I know that they're extremely busy right now. Fridays is their sports days that they have their sporting games.
However, some parents are noticing that students are being more proactive in the community.
I think it's really helped. Honestly, she wakes up every day ready to go to school instead of burnout.
The older high school students I see all the time on Facebook, and the ones that I know, they're able to provide child services for all the residents here in our communities, children that need daycare and stuff, that a lot of the daycare centers here are currently full, so they're able to help out.
Reporting in Baxter Springs, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
School officials say they'll know more in-depth information about how students are adjusting when benchmark scores come in. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Kevin McCarthy is out, and now 2 top Republicans are jumping into the race to become the next House Speaker. Plus, people who had their tax information leaked, allegedly by an IRS contractor, may soon have a webpage to go to for case updates. Plus, Chris Warner returns with another look at your Thursday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Cherryvale, Kansas at Pryor Creek Farms. Topping Nation Watch this morning, people who had their tax information leaked allegedly by an ex-IRS contractor may soon have a webpage to go to for case updates. It's a court filing. Prosecutors call it practical to try to notify the thousands of victims. That's why a webpage that would appear on the Justice Department's website is being proposed. Charles Littlejohn is charged with stealing IRS data from thousands of the country's wealthiest people, including from former President Donald Trump. Littlejohn is accused of leaking some of that tax return information, including Trump's, to media organizations, who then published it. While prosecutors have notified that smaller group of victims, many more have yet been reached. Federal law requires identified crime victims to be notified, and IRS rules are similar for notification of taxpayers who had information improperly disclosed. And negotiations are moving forward for Hollywood's largest union. In a joint statement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers Wednesday, SAG-AFTRA announced that talks would continue on Friday. The parties are then expected to work over the weekend and resume on Monday. The joint statement and the continuation of negotiations will likely be read as a positive sign as the 2023 actors' strike stretches on. SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers resumed negotiations on Monday. It was the first time since the strike began in July. And President Biden's 2-year-old German Shepherd Commander has reportedly been involved in more biting incidents than previously reported at the White House. That's according to multiple sources familiar with the matter. While the U.S. Secret Service has acknowledged 11 reported biting incidents involving its personnel, sources tell CNN the real number is higher and includes executive residence staff and other White House workers. The bites have ranged in severity. One bite required hospitalization. Some required attention from the White House medical unit, and others went unreported and untreated. Commander has been removed from the White House campus while the First Family works for solutions to the ongoing issue. And Kevin McCarthy is out, and now 2 top Republicans are jumping into the race to become the next House Speaker. The House is in recess until next week to give members a chance to cool off, and President Biden is warning Congress to get to work. With another potential government shutdown just a month away, CBS News' Naomi Richam has the latest from New York.
Just days after House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted, 2 top Republicans, Louisiana Congressman and Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, announced bids to replace him.
We need to unite the conference. I think I can do that.
Well, they're 2 good friends. They both would do a great job.
McCarthy has said he won't run, though others could jump in before next week's votes. Now, some angry House Republicans are expressing their frustrations with Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, leader of the charge against McCarthy, and the 7 GOP lawmakers who joined to vote him out.
He's the arsonist who lit the house on fire.
Gaetz faces the possibility of being kicked out of the party. All 8 may possibly be kicked off committees.
Though Gaetz is not backing down.
The nerve of these establishment Republicans to have to take a week to go have a good cry and then blame us for being the reason that we can't get the work done.
North Carolina Congressman Patrick McHenry is in as interim speaker, but the House is at a standstill until it elects a new speaker, with another possible shutdown looming if Congress doesn't act by November 17th.
We cannot and should not again be faced with an 11th hour decision. Brinksmanship threatens to shut down the government.
Yesterday, President Biden called for an end to the poisonous atmosphere in Washington. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Interim House Speaker Patrick McHenry is evicted former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Democratic leader Steny Hoyer from offices inside the Capitol. Other House Republicans say former Speaker Kevin McCarthy is entitled to that space. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've had some scattered thunderstorms for at least a few of us across the area along cold front number 1. However, cold front number 2 will be here late tonight, and that's the one that's going to have a pretty big impact on our temperatures. And we'll tell you how cold it's going to get because, I mean, compared to where we've been, it's going to feel cold in your complete forecast here in just a few more minutes.
In South Korea, the K-pop industry seems to be pushing the boundary between real and virtual entertainment. That's as companies are slowly turning to AI-generated computer stars to front groups and engage with audiences. CNN's Ivan Watson has more on this story.
A K-pop confection.
Show me your best double triple, triple triple.
This video by girl group Eternity racked up 6.5 million views on YouTube in 9 months. But not all is as it appears here. My name is Ivan. What's your name?
My name is Jane.
Can you tell me about your band?
네. 안녕하세요. 저는 세계
I'm from the world's first virtual K-pop girl group, she tells me. Jane and the 10 other members of Eternity aren't real. Techtainment company Pulse 9 created these characters and face swaps them over human actors using artificial intelligence. I'm speaking to an AI pop star. Is this the future of entertainment?
Of course, we cannot be seen in person, but if you have a device, you can communicate with us anywhere at any time. As a virtual group, we are not limited by location. We can broadcast anywhere. The only thing we cannot do is sign an autograph.
And Eternity isn't the only AI K-pop creation. Maeve is another virtual girl band with videos that have tens of millions of views.
We captured a human's performance, turned it into 3D animation with AI.
Kang Sung-koo and Metaverse Entertainment created Maeve. Designers say the goal isn't to try to replace human artists like BTS or Beyoncé. Instead, they want to create something like the next generation of Siri.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
But in this case, it would be an avatar that sings and dances that you actually want to talk to.
They will remember you, they will know about you, and they will talk based on that information.
AI creations would theoretically develop a unique relationship with every user and be available around the clock on every device.
Hi everyone, this is Tyra from Maeve.
And not limited by language.
Bonjour, je suis Zena de Maeve.
Designers are programming these AI pop stars to interact with fans. The technology still has a long way to go, and some programmers concede there may need to be laws to regulate these creations.
We have to be careful, actually. If somebody evil can use it, it might be disaster.
Designers say, unlike human celebrities, these AI pop stars won't age and won't ever tire out, and can do anything they're programmed to do. It's like science fiction, like the robots could be taking over.
Yes, like the robots that conquer the human world, we've appeared to conquer the pop music world to steal people's hearts.
This may be a glimpse of entertainment in the not-too-distant future. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
Well, that's amazing, seeing the innovation. Also, I'm a little wary about that as well. But we'll be right back with more news after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:23 on this Thursday morning. Got some thunderstorms out there now right over parts of Crawford, Barton, Eastern Cherokee, and now moving into Jasper County in southwest Missouri. So let's haven't had a chance to readjust this. So we're just going to move it over here. And you can see where we've got this decent little thunderstorm here. Got a little cell right ahead of it, getting ready to enter into Carthage, just south of Lamar and 126, right over Pittsburgh, and just crossing the southern portions of 69 and on the west side of Joplin now. And see those purples? That's some heavier rain out there, and still a fair amount of lightning with this thing, especially around the Pittsburgh area. So do be aware of that, especially kids maybe getting ready to get on the bus this morning, heading out to the bus stop. If you're in these areas with that lightning, you might want to take them up there yourself. Keep them in the car if you can. Just make sure they've got a safe place. This is all part of cold front number 1, which take a look way back here. You can see scattered thunderstorms developing along this line all the way back into Oklahoma. These will continue to push through, and then they will move on out. And then later tonight, cold front number 2 gets here, and that will actually bring us the opportunity for those colder temperatures. MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line. Road's starting to get wet as the rain moves into the Joplin area. Been seeing some lightning out there as well. MoDOT camera down in Neosho, US 60 and Missouri 59. We're not really looking so much at the wet roads. Rain just to your north out there. A little bit of connection issue with this camera right now. And in Pittsburgh, of course, we're getting the rain. We see the wet roads because that storm right over Pittsburgh right now. This is the KDOT camera 69 East 520th, just to the south of Pittsburgh. And there's the rain falling. We got that thunderstorm now in Joplin, 66. West breeze at about 5 miles an hour. Been picking up some lightning on the tower cam, but of course, it kind of, like we've said before, the lightning knows when we're on the air. It won't happen until we switch to the next thing. We got 63 in Pittsburgh, 65 Lamar, 66 Carthage, 63 in Chanute, Parsons, 65 Chautauqua. So here's where that cold front is, and we are a bit cooler behind it. It is making our morning temperatures a little cooler. 59 Iola Yates Center. But we're all still going to warm up later today. The big cool down won't impact everyone until we get late tonight and into our Friday. Showers and storms continuing through about 9, maybe pushing 10 o'clock. We'll go partly cloudy right around 70 by 11. We head into the afternoon. We will go mostly clear out there to just plain old clear. Temperatures mid-upper 70s, so a nice Thursday ahead of us. And we stay mild initially in the evening, and then when cold front number 2 starts to roll through later tonight, we start to drop back rather quickly into the low 50s, maybe even some upper 40s out there. And if that's not fall-like enough for you or cold enough for you, check this out. Well below average as we go upper 60s, low 60s, low 70s, overnight lows, upper 30s, lower 40s, Friday night and into Saturday night. Then we start to warm up next week back into the 80s, and then another system with some showers, thunderstorm chances comes in, and by the end of next week, look at this temperature difference. It's about a 20-degree drop as we head into the end of next week, so our temperature roller coaster ride isn't quite over yet. Let's check your forecast. Now here's Caitlin with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, a new study suggests that new fathers should also be screened for postpartum depression. In a survey of 24 fathers by the University of Illinois Chicago, 30% screened positive for postpartum depression. Researchers say men often aren't as willing to accept help, and their mental health issues can impact their partners as well. And doctors in South Korea say that they've made a breakthrough in treating age-related diseases. They say that they've been able to selectively remove aging cells without harming normal healthy cells. Aging cells contribute to inflammatory conditions and are age-related ailments. Researchers say the next step is to use the technology in clinical trials. And older drivers with ADHD are at a much higher rise for car crashes. Researchers at Columbia University say ADHD patients age 65 and older were twice as likely to report traffic tickets and crashes. Although ADHD is often considered a childhood ailment, it can persist and affect people through adulthood. And it can be a struggle getting kids to be active, and it's a critical part of their health. But with video games, TV, and other devices, some kids may not be motivated to get enough physical activity each day. In today's Health Minute, Minnie Gaither has 4 simple ways to get kids to move more.
60 minutes every day. That's how much physical activity is recommended for kids and teens between the ages of 6 and 17. It may seem like a lot, but it doesn't have to be all at once.
We know kids do better in school, they sleep better, their mood's better, and it can just be a lot of fun to move.
Dr. Adam Keating with Cleveland Clinic says some kids may be motivated to move through sports, but others may need a little help. His first tip, to remember there are different ways to keep kids active.
Everything from going on a family walk, to walking the dog, to vacuuming, to having a dance party in the middle of your living room.
Playing on a playground or PE at school also counts as physical activity time. Keating says it's also important to be a good role model.
Kids want to spend time with their parents, whether they say so or not. And so being a good example and joining in the activity with the kids generally makes it much more rewarding for everybody.
While it's important to limit screens, Keating says offer that screen time as a reward for physical activity.
The child can earn another 30 minutes of screen time by doing 30 minutes of activity.
Finally, find activities they enjoy. It can be a variety of things so the child doesn't get bored.
Making it fun rather than a chore and finding different creative ways to be able to work some physical activity in the day can be helpful.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Keating says chores can also be a physical activity. Choose ones that are age appropriate for your child. For example, raking leaves, cleaning their room, or washing the car can also get them moving. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Scotland-based band is overseas to take part in a European tour.
And some scattered showers and thunderstorms continuing for some of us across the area this morning. That's ahead of some big changes in our forecast. We got the look to get you out the door coming up.
Harbor in Joplin celebrates a brand new area for the kids.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:32 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So got those scattered thunderstorms out there again this morning. These are part of cold front number 1. And then we've got cold front number 2 that's going to come in overnight tonight, and that's the one that's going to have a pretty big impact on our temperatures. Now, I told you about the lightning and being on air. There we go, there was something, because as soon as we went to the next story, big flash of lightning out there. We want to remind you, of course, lightning is dangerous, which is why we can look at it safely with our cameras that we have around the area. So this is 7th and range line, obviously raining, thunderstorm activity there. Interestingly enough, take a look at 32nd and range line, the MoDOT camera there. It's not really raining as much on the south end of town, at least not yet, but we do have that thunderstorm out there, and there it is. It has been just kind of tracking along this cold front. This is cold front number 1 that's been giving us these thunderstorms. Now earlier, and we're going to take a quick look again here. We did have some small hail actually on the west side, forget it, that thing's not going to tell us. We did have some small hail on the west side of Joplin. Now the good news is it looks like that has gone away. I will try that one more time, and it just does not like me this morning, so that's all right. I don't like it that much sometimes. Cold front number 1 though, extending all the way back into Oklahoma, giving some scattered storms out there. The best storm, this one right here, and we'll continue to see those as we go through the morning. Right now Joplin got some of that thunderstorm activity, 66. Look at the heavy rain still falling in Pittsburgh as that storm still stretches back there, 63 right now. Kids getting on the bus this morning. Again, some of us getting some scattered storms, so if they're getting ready to go out to the bus stop, make sure they've got a safe place to be with that lightning. Otherwise, low 60s, mostly cloudy. Then later, all of us getting in on some great weather, mostly clear skies when that bus brings them home, and we will go into the mid 70s. Storms should clear out by about 9, 10 o'clock at the latest, leaving us partly cloudy and right around 70 by 11. We'll talk about how warm it's going to be today and then how cool it's going to get tomorrow and the following days here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Joplin-based band Fox Royale is going on tour with Young the Giant in Europe. Brothers Nathan and Caleb Hurley are the founding members of the alternative band, which launched into the music industry in 2020. Since then, they've played as many shows as they could secure, whether local or otherwise. Getting a call from Young the Giant was not something the band saw coming.
We'd never opened for a band on tour before. So we've pitched for tons of bands and we've gotten a no, really often, because we're not big enough. So to get our first support slot, be Young the Giant in other countries, was kind of mind-blowing.
According to band members, this opportunity is already opening doors for their music careers. Congratulations, gentlemen. And Southwest Missouri Bank joined Souls Harbor in celebrating a new play area for the shelter yesterday. The shelter serves men, women, and homeless families in Joplin, and the addition of the play area will make stays there easier for the youngest residents. For the shelter, the play area has only upsides.
It's going to be a lot bigger, and they also have a cement pad that they can use to set the picnic tables on and such. So then they'll have a much better place to sit, less lawn care, and then the kids will have a play area that's well cushioned, and they can, if they have any accidents, then they'll have any problems with that.
Souls Harbor is located at 817 South Main in Joplin. Special Olympics Kansas rolls out a regional unified bocce competition yesterday. The competition consisted of 66 teams, and hundreds of people turned out to cheer them on. 2 athletes paired with 2 partners, and teams played 2 games. For the athletes, the event was more than just about the competition, as they made new friendships and social connections.
The biggest thing I hope that they gain is those relationships, working on communicating, working on independence, working on, having those people within the community that they can go up and talk to and be friends with and have those lifelong friendships made.
The competition featured youth level all the way up to adults. The district today showed off its Mustang pride. It's homecoming week, so the district held a parade. There was also food trucks so people could eat before the floats went through the streets of Anderson. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Google has unveiled its newest generation of smartphones and watches. We'll have that latest.
And we've got a pretty decent thunderstorm coming through parts of Jasper, Crawford, Barton, and Cherokee counties. And then we've got big changes in the temperatures. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back. But first, we got a live look from Cherryvale from the Pryor Creek Farms.
In Consumer Watch this morning, as severe storms batter cities across the country, the debris left behind can often be overlooked as trash. But now there's a growing movement to salvage fallen trees and logs and turn them into lifelong pieces of woodwork with a story. Skylar Henry visits the Maryland company, digging up and sanding down the buried treasure.
After stormy weather barrels through parts of Maryland, John Ferrara's crew isn't too far behind.
These are the ones that were down in the woods that fell over in the storm. That were in the back.
What started as a side hustle with his best friend Paul Timmons has turned into the Cambium Carbon Company. The company saves trees from landfills by partnering with architects, cities, and businesses, salvaging toppled timber and turning it into sustainable pieces using what they call carbon smartwood.
It's like Christmas every time you cut one of these things open. You have no idea what you're going to get.
Cambium has one of the largest non-commercial sawmills on the East Coast. With it, the company handles logs most others can't, off of size alone. After the process of power washing and cutting through trees that often measure more than 20 feet, the lumber is off to dry.
This is part of the drying process, right?
Correct, yeah. So this is a kiln that's actually taking the last bit of moisture out of the board.
From there, the stories under the bark unfold.
A lot of times that material is viewed as a defect, and we really like to turn that narrative around and be able to educate people that it's actually something to celebrate and something to enjoy.
Through word of mouth, their mission is picking up steam. They've partnered with cities and towns from Eugene, Oregon to New York City, teaching local operations sustainable wood management and turning what was into this. Everything from tables and chairs to signage and even art.
All of that carbon is going back into the atmosphere. If we're able to stop that from occurring, and we're putting it into lumber, which can make flooring or tables or furniture, we're actually able to harness that carbon.
Creating carbon negative products and environmentally positive solutions. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Arbutus, Maryland.
The group at Cambium says that their business is growing quickly and they're emphasizing only using trees that have fallen and not healthy ones that might be cleared out. The company uses a percentage of its profits to plant trees in the local communities where they salvage logs. And the largest strike by healthcare workers in U.S. history is underway. This is after 75,000 Kaiser Permanente workers walked off the job across 5 states and Washington, D.C. yesterday. The union is asking for better pay and increased staffing. The strike is expected to last 3 days. The Biden administration is forgiving $9 billion in federal student loan debt. Those loans include debt for 3 categories of borrowers: public servants, some people enrolled in income-driven repayment plans, and disabled borrowers. The move affects roughly 125,000 people, and it comes as student loan payments resumed this week following a more than 3-year pause. And Google has unveiled its newest generation of smartphones as well as a smartwatch. The new Pixel 8 boasts better artificial intelligence capability and an upgraded camera that includes an improved night sight feature to combat low lighting. The Pixel 8 goes on with sale next week with a base price of $699, while the Pro model costs $999. The Pixel Watch 2 starts at $349. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've still got a pretty decent thunderstorm out there. And, well, we just actually lost our connection at the Joplin Tower Camp. But I'll tell you, there it goes. We got some pretty heavy rain falling with this thunderstorm out there. And I know this is bad timing. A lot of kids getting ready to get on the bus. And, boy, it is just pouring. And we've had some dangerous lightning with this storm. So, parents, if you're able to take your kids maybe to school or at least up to the bus stop and they can hang out in your car for a bit, hopefully you can do that, because this is not what you want them out standing in. And this is what it looks like. It's this big cell, part of a cold front number 1 out there. that kind of flared up. There was some small hail with this storm. Well, initially on the west side of Joplin, there was some right along the Barton-Jasper County line, but it's kind of calmed down a bit, but still plentiful lightning starting to exit the Pittsburgh area, getting into the Carthage area and stretching back into parts of Newton County. All of this will continue to push off to the east-southeast across the area with that cold front, and then eventually move on out of here. In Joplin, obviously, still got the thunderstorm, raining pretty good, 66. A little cooler in Pittsburgh, 63. Because cold front number 1 is cooling our morning temperatures, but will not have a big impact on our later temperatures. All right, 63, kids getting on the bus, and again, a couple of scattered storms out there, and 76 by the time that bus brings them home. Sunny skies. We'll take another full look at your forecast here in just a little bit, and it's just about time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Those are after the break, but first, we're going to check in with these fine folks in New York City and see what's coming up on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Frasier is back. We'll look at how the hit show's iconic theme song came together. Plus, a quick and easy meal for you in another edition of The Dish Recipe. That's coming up on CBS Mornings. Looks like a one-panner.
All right, time for some Thursday birthdays here in the 4 states, and Jaden's got his birthday hat on. Jaden Rogers, Webb City, celebrating number 7 today. Happy birthday.
And over in St. Paul, Kansas, Maxon Hellwig is also celebrating his 7th birthday. It says, with love from Papa Jim and Grandma Judy.
And in Columbus, Elizabeth King celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Elizabeth.
And happy 10th birthday to Jalissa Wright over in Iola, Kansas. Hope you have a wonderful day. Love Mom, Dad, Isaiah, Lacaria, Daniel, and Thaddeus.
And we've got Bladen Pickle in Knowles celebrating birthday number 11. Says wishing you a wonderful, blessed birthday. Lots of love from Mom and Dad. Happy birthday, Bladen.
I love that. And over in Carthage, happy 12th birthday to Harley Hudson from Mom, Dad, and Bubby. Love you.
And we've got Kiana Smith celebrating birthday number 14 over in Jasper. Happy birthday, Kiana.
And happy 17th birthday to Cody Elliott of Erie, Kansas. He's the one on the right, and he has birthday wishes from his family.
And of course, if it's Cody's birthday, that also means it's Craig's birthday, celebrating number 25. He's on the left with, of course, the same birthday wishes from the family.
Oh, how funny. What are the odds, right? At least they can share a special day together.
Absolutely.
And over in St. Paul, Kansas, Lakin Westhoff turns 38 today. Happy birthday, Lakin.
All right, and we've got Dale Hellwig celebrating a birthday in Columbus. Happy birthday, Dale.
All right, now this one is extra special. It is the 68th wedding anniversary for Dawn and Helen George over in Walnut, Kansas. And this came in from all 16 great-grandkids, 11 grandkids, and 4 kids and their spouses. Love you. What a great message. A great family.
Absolutely. Big celebration today in Walnut. And then we have a big celebration here at the station. Our very own Britt Stack, the KOAM news director, celebrating another year wiser. So we will have to absolutely give her birthday wishes because otherwise she may not be too happy with us.
Oh,
she's in charge.
She is. She is the reason why this show and the news gets out. So happy
absolutely.
birthday,
Happy birthday, Britt.
All right. And now wrapping it up with Madeline Coons. Happy birthday to you.
And Justice Ganaway in Columbus celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Justice.
And happy 69th birthday to Ann Mangarelli in Girard, Kansas.
And last but not least, John Heiser celebrating another year wiser as well. That's a fantastic list of birthdays and anniversaries. Let's keep it fantastic. Caitlin, what do they need to do?
Well, all you got to do is just submit your birthdays, include some pictures, some lovely notes like we were reading today, to birthdays@koamnewsnow.com.
All right, so we've got some scattered thunderstorms out there along cold front number 1, stretching from way way up here, way down here. It is cooling some of our temperatures this morning, but cold front number 2, which is still out to our northwest and will be here later tonight, that will be the one that has the big impact on our temperatures, much bigger impact. We've got this thunderstorm, not strong, not severe, but plentiful lightning and very heavy rainfall with this. Got some moderate rain still left behind in Pittsburgh, right along the Jasper-Barton County line, heading along I-49 from just south of Lamar, just north of Neosho. So if you're out traveling this morning, watch out for that. Kids waiting on the bus, parents, if you can take them in your car up there maybe, you don't want them out in this because it's heavy rain and some dangerous lightning. Now once this pushes on through, we're actually looking at a pretty good Thursday. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. There's that heavy rain out there. Neosho, dry, storms immediately to your north. And still getting that moderate rainfall on the KDOT camera just south of Pittsburgh. And, of course, from our camera at 7th and range line. We're 66 in Joplin. We've got that thunderstorm out there. And, of course, those that are getting behind cold front number 1, which is bringing in a northerly breeze for today, a little cooler. 59, Yates Center, Iola, 64, Fort Scott, 63, Pittsburgh, Parsons, 66, Miami, and 65 in Neosho. We'll have another complete look at your forecast and that 7-day, as well as the news you need to know in just a moment. And when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14 at 7, a domestic drama with a science fiction angle opening in theaters this weekend poses questions about identity and relationships. We've got the details.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Missouri Attorney General is urging Tyson Foods to sell rather than close the Tyson plants in Knoll and Dexter, Missouri. AG Andrew Bailey makes the request in a letter to Tyson CEO Donnie King. Bailey says both federal and state law require Tyson to make every effort to sell. Bailey points out that the Knoll Tyson plant employs 1,500 workers, and its closure would have a devastating impact on the community's economy. That plant is scheduled to close on or around October 20th. Much of northeast Oklahoma has battled contamination from old mining waste known as chat for decades. Yesterday, the Quapaw Nation marks 10 years of a project intended to preserve historic structures, artifacts, and landscape features while the chat was removed. The commemoration event yesterday celebrated the success of that project. It began in 2013 when an agreement allowed the Quapaw Nation to work with the EPA during the chat cleanup in the Tar Creek Superfund site. And the Baxter Springs, Kansas School District is adjusting to a 4-day school week, Tuesday through Friday. Last year, the community voted in favor of the 4-day school week to be implemented for this school year. The transition is part of the recruitment and retention plan for staff. The district superintendents say that the new schedule now gives staff a choice to make up hours or rest. And it's not just the staff that's adjusting to the new schedule. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
After our morning thunderstorms clear out, we are looking pretty good. Mostly clear skies, warm mid to upper 70s across the area. And then late tonight, cold front number 2 comes in. That's the one that's going to cool our temperatures back. So initially, as you see, a mild evening, clear skies. Then we drop down, low 50s, maybe some upper 40s out there. We're going to stay below average Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Temperatures falling back to the 60s, low 70s. Overnight lows could go into the upper 30s, low 40s through Friday and Saturday. Next week, though, we start to warm right back up into the 80s. Another system comes in, more showers, more storms, and then another blast of cool fall-like weather. So we fall back into the 60s by the end of next week.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making Java nuts in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Crisis at the southern border has turned one highway into a raceway for human smuggling. Next on CBS Mornings, Chris Van Cleve goes on the road with the local sheriff's department trying to stop the illegal and sometimes deadly trade.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, how Taylor Swift's economic impact is growing and spreading to movie theaters and sports worlds.
Plus, Halloween is almost here and decorating is in full swing. And a Rhode Island man is going above and beyond decorating their house with 1,000 pumpkins. That is a lot of pumpkins. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you again today at noon.